Welcome back to the channel. Today's a pretty exciting one for a lot of you, as it's my most requested video. Before we get into that, DJI Action 4 DJI Mic Mini, and we're using ND32 because, as you can see, we've got some nice blue skies. Today's video, we're going to be talking about color grading, specifically how I get this look out of the Action 4. I want to talk about some of the philosophies of it and kind of how you can achieve simpler looks, but ultimately what I want this video to do is prepare you for how you can color grade your videos without using exactly what I'm using, because some of the stuff is pretty expensive. So if you don't want to make that full leap, this video should help you with an understanding of how to grade your footage and also how to watch other people's videos and actually be able to apply that knowledge. I am by no means a expert at color grading, but I think I've figured out a pretty good system that works across the board for a lot of different cameras. So we're gonna jump into the studio and do all this, but before we do that, I actually want to just show you what my grade looks like when you put all the things together individually. So let's find a good spot. How's it going? Good, how are you? Pretty good. I'm just doing some sketchy stuff right now.
Yeah, that looks very...
What are you doing? I'm trying to teach people how to color grade their footage on this thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a little action camera.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, don't ask why I picked this spot, but I think this is like probably pretty good for a bunch of different colors. So I just want to show you exactly how my color grade looks from start to finish, and then we're going to go back to the studio and break it down. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is apply this LUT right here. Boom. This is a Phantom LUT off of a website that I've put below if you want to check it out. There's not specifically one for the Action 4, but I've been using the one from the Pocket 3, and I think it looks pretty good. However, there's something that we got to do now, but we're going to change that to before. So then I go into Final Cut and I add the color wheels, and I'll take that color wheels and drag it above the LUT. Now I'm going to make minor adjustments and tweaks into the color grade so it will look more like this. So we're starting to get there, but it's not quite right yet. Then the next thing we're going to do is actually add another color grade, or sorry, another color wheels. So when we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the saturation levels in this. You can also adjust the colors of the shadows and things like that, but I just usually adjust the saturation. So let's do that now. Boom. So now you're looking at a Rec 709 or like this is already good enough. The colors they look good, everything's vibrant. I think the image looks pretty good, but it's not stylized yet. And then the last thing I do is I apply the Dehancer plugin. We will get more in depth into that in the video, but this is what the overall color grade looks like. So let's see that again from scratch. So this is step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. And that is pretty much it. That's how I grade my videos. Let's go back to the studio and check it out more in depth. All right, we should be good to go. We are back in the studio. Got you on the Action 4 here. Pocket 3 over the shoulder, giving you kind of that immersive feeling like you're sitting right here. Screen recording what's going on so I can really try and break this down and get you over the hurdle of color grading, at least in the way that I see it, because I have this experience of like, I try and learn how to color grade, or I see a product or a LUT that someone's using and then I try and use it and it never looks quite like their footage. So I'm hoping to give you kind of the philosophy and some of the things I think other review or other tutorials overlook with what is really important in making sure that your footage actually looks correct. So as you've already seen what the grade looks like, but now let's break down exactly what we're doing with each of these things. So I'm going to copy this clip right here. We're going to take my main one and we're going to build this from scratch. So the first thing that I do every single time is I go over here, and if you're using a different editor, not Final Cut, I think the principles of this will still remain the same. So if you're using what's it called, DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro, this should all translate well. And the main thing is the stacking order. The way that you're doing everything is super important. I'm going to build this from scratch as if I didn't have anything to copy and paste. So one of the beauty of doing this is, like, a lot of people say that it takes a lot of time to color grade. It doesn't. I mean, it does, but if you've already done it, you can copy and paste it from other projects onto your timeline as long as you have very similar settings. So I always shoot in a fixed white balance for this reason, because if your white balance is changing all the time, your color grade is going to change all the time too. So I'm usually sitting at 5600. I might manually adjust that if I'm going inside or doing something for a long period of time, but 90% of my videos are shot outside, so I leave the white balance locked at 5600. So right here, you're looking at a D-Log straight out of camera from the Action 4. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to here and custom LUT, throw it over top, and I'm going to scroll down to my Phantom LUTs, which is this for the, yeah, these are for the Pocket 3. I don't think they make one for the Action 4, but D-Log M is pretty similar. So I've been using the neutral Osmo Pocket P3. I might be using the Legacy of this one, I can't remember, but we'll just add that. So immediately, this is taking your log profile and adding some color, saturation, things to it. But we're gonna do more than that because this is not going to be perfect. But as you can see, it's already looking pretty good. We can zoom in here. Colors are looking pretty good. It might be a little bit magenta for my liking. But then what I'm gonna do is go and add a color wheel. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just make a quick adjustment. So now we have color wheels number 1. Now this is a very, very important step. You have to go here and take this color wheel and add it before the LUT. If you have it after, it's editing on top of the LUT, but you want to edit you want to be processing on the log footage, not the LUT itself for this part. So all I do in this one is adjust my shadows, highlights, midtones, things like that, and I will adjust the white balance if I want to. I won't do any saturation or any color adjustments in this part. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look over, I always apply the waveforms over here, and as you can see, we're a little bit under, so I might just bump these up, just bump this up a little bit, maybe take the highlights a little bit. We've got a lot of latitude here. You can see this is the top of our shadows, and here's here's the top of our highlights, here's the shadows. Let me just bump the mid-tones up a little bit, pull the shadows down again, and what I'm trying to do is just kind of get a good balance here, and I might go back and tweak this after. But that looks pretty good. I might want to add a little bit of, let's see, we can add a little bit of warmth in there, maybe a touch, maybe warm it up a little bit more. I mean, that's looking pretty good. So there's before the colors and after. Now, if you were to take this and drop it in front, look at it. It actually changes it. So we want to make those edits before. And the reason I always say to add the LUT first is it's easier to make the adjustments if you can see the LUT, but you want to make the adjustments before. So I hope that makes sense. Basically what I'm trying to say is the order is extremely important. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another color wheels. So on this one, I'm going to go color wheels, boom. And as you can see, when you go back to your main window here, it's below it. So we got color wheels 1, custom LUT, and then color wheels 2. You're gonna click here, and here's where I do the saturation. So I wanna boost the saturation a bit. And here, if you wanted to, this is where you can start to apply all of your different kind of colors and stuff, but I'm not using this to get my creative look yet. That's what I'm gonna use after. So I just wanna boost the saturation just slightly. So here's before and after. And you can see it's just boosted, like this looks pretty good, but it's not stylized very much. And this is where I love Dehancer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add Dehancer to that timeline, and boom, it immediately will throw on its own Kodak Vision 3 250D. And you'll see here that it says source Rec 709. So if you go into here, it has a bunch of different options for different things. Because we already processed the footage before it, we're using Rec 709. I generally like to use the 50D, which is this one here. But as you can see, it's not looking quite like how you're used to. We got to go down to profile, print, and hit, I usually like the Kodak 2383 print film. Boom. Now we're starting to get a little more of a stylized look. Now what I like to do is I like to go into film grain and remove that because I'm not going for grain, but I do want some halation and bloom stuff. So the halation is kind of the, I'm going to enable halation here. Boom. Let's see. You can kind of see how it affects it here, like on the dumpster. It makes it look like you're using a Pro Mist. Boom, boom. That's quite a bit, so I'm gonna bring it back a little bit, probably to like 10. So there we go. The halation, and then what really kills it is the bloom here. So I would say as far as dehancer goes, it is pretty advanced. Like I've added halation and bloom here, but you don't really need it to get the full look. So boom and boom. You might not really notice much. I think it's integral to the look, but you can also throw a Pro Mist on here, like a little Pro Mist filter, and get a similar look. I'm using NDs, so I can't stack them together. But here it is again, and it just gives it a little bit of a softness and more of a vintage look, which I love for these vlogs. So it's a little bit cool for my liking. I might go up to the color head and dehancer and just, so bring in a little bit of yellow, maybe a little bit of red into there. That looks pretty good. And this is just the, this is kind of what we're getting. Like I think that looks pretty good. So if we go from all the effects to 0, it's that to this. Like there's quite a bit of latitude in that image to grade. Like we've got some good shadows, some good highlight areas in here. And I think this looks pretty good. I'm no professional, but I think that looks pretty darn good. This video is not sponsored by Dehancer, but if you are looking to use Dehancer, I have a link below. I think you get 10% off. I did a couple, maybe a year or two ago, I did a sponsored video for them, and I've actually been using Dehancer ever since. So I think it's a great program, but it is kind of expensive if you're just doing this for fun. So it is something to weigh out. I love the look of it, and I haven't really been able to replicate it otherwise. And there's so many different things that you can do within Dehancer that really shapes your look. So guys, that's just a quick look into how I grade footage. I hope this was helpful. This has definitely been the most requested video that I've ever had to make. And again, it's really important. The stacking order in which you do things is the most important. If you're not going to use Dehancer or you don't want to do all this process, the built-in normal color profile on the DJI Action 4 is actually quite good. It's just, as you've seen, I'm doing a lot of grading to get the image to look the way that I want. And then once you've already got it looking the way that you want in this program, you can just copy and paste these edits as long as your white balance is pretty much similar and you're not letting the white balance run all over the place. So all that to say, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you actually got something out of it, and I hope that it's enabled you to be able to think about color grading a little bit differently than you normally would. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, consider liking it, leaving a comment below, as this one was a little bit hard to put together. But again, I love making these videos, and a lot of you are really interested in this, so I hope you got it. And I will see you on the next video. Peace.